What if I told you that overthinking is not a sign of intelligence, but a sign of fear? Not because you're weak, not because you're broken, but because somewhere deep inside, your mind stopped feeling safe. And now it keeps thinking and thinking and thinking, as if one more thought might finally protect you. But it never does. It only makes you more tired, more anxious, more stuck. If your mind keeps replaying conversations, imagining worst-case scenarios, or turning small situations into emotional storms, this video is for you. Because today, we're going to decode why you overthink everything and what your mind is actually trying to do. Part 1. What overthinking really is. Overthinking is not just thinking too much. It's much deeper than that. Overthinking is what happens when your mind tries to gain control over something that feels emotionally uncertain. That's why overthinking usually shows up around things like relationships, decisions, mistakes, the future, or how other people see you. Your mind doesn't overthink random things. It overthinks the things that feel emotionally important, the things that feel risky, the things that could hurt you. And that's why overthinking feels so exhausting, because it's not just mental activity, it's emotional survival. Your brain is not simply asking, what should I do? It's asking, how do I avoid pain? And that changes everything. Part 2. Why your brain does this. Your brain has one main job: to keep you safe. Not happy, not peaceful, safe. And when your mind senses uncertainty, it often reacts as if uncertainty is danger. That means not knowing what someone meant, not knowing what will happen, not knowing if you made the right choice can feel like a threat. So your mind starts scanning, replaying, analyzing, predicting. It tells you, if I think about this long enough, maybe I can prevent something bad. And for a moment, that feels useful. It feels like control. But overthinking is not real control. It's the illusion of control. Because no matter how many times you replay the situation, you still don't feel peace. You just feel more mentally trapped. That's the cruel part of overthinking. It pretends to help you while slowly draining your energy. Part 3. Overthinking is often rooted in fear. Most people think overthinking comes from having too many thoughts. But in reality, overthinking usually comes from unprocessed fear. Fear of rejection, fear of regret, fear of failure, fear of being misunderstood, fear of losing someone, fear of making the wrong move. And sometimes the fear is so old you don't even realize it's there. You just call yourself an overthinker. But maybe you're not naturally an overthinker. Maybe your mind just learned that being hyper-aware was the only way to stay emotionally safe. For some people, this starts in childhood. If you grew up in an environment where people were unpredictable, emotions were unsafe, love felt inconsistent, or mistakes led to shame, then your mind may have learned something very early. I need to stay alert. And that alertness can quietly turn into overthinking. Because when your nervous system doesn't feel safe, your mind becomes a control machine. Part 4. Why you replay conversations. Have you ever had a simple conversation and then replayed it in your head for the next 6 hours? Wondering, did I say too much? Did that sound weird? What if they took it the wrong way? Why did I say that? That's not just overthinking, that's self-protection. Your brain is trying to scan for social danger. It wants to know, did I embarrass myself? Did I lose connection? Am I still accepted? Because human beings are wired for belonging, and when belonging feels uncertain, the mind goes into analysis mode. That's why overthinking often gets worse after emotional situations, after awkward moments, after conflict, after silence, after being ignored. Because your brain starts searching for meaning, and when it can't find clear answers, it fills the silence with fear. Part 5. Why overthinking feels impossible to stop. Here's what makes overthinking so hard to break. It gives your brain a false sense of progress. You feel like you're doing something, even when you're just suffering in circles. It's like mental pacing. You're moving, but you're not actually going anywhere. And because your mind believes thinking equals solving, it keeps pulling you back into the loop. This is why people say things like, "I know I'm overthinking, but I can't stop." And that's true, because overthinking is not just a habit of thought, it's often a habit of emotional protection. And you cannot heal it just by telling yourself to calm down. You have to understand what your mind is afraid of. That's where healing begins. Part 6. What overthinking is secretly costing you. Overthinking doesn't just make you tired, it slowly changes the way you live. It makes simple decisions feel heavy. It makes relationships feel confusing. It makes rest feel impossible. It makes you doubt yourself, even when you already know the answer. And the more you live inside your head, the harder it becomes to live in your actual life. That's the hidden cost. Overthinking steals presence. It pulls you out of the moment and traps you in imagined scenarios. It convinces you to prepare for pain instead of experiencing peace. And over time, that can make you feel emotionally disconnected, mentally exhausted, and deeply stuck. Not because you're incapable, but because your brain is always in defense mode. Part 7. How to start breaking the loop. So, how do you actually stop overthinking? Not perfectly, but realistically. The first step is this. Stop treating every thought like it matters. Just because your mind says something doesn't mean it's important, and just because a thought feels urgent doesn't mean it's true. A lot of overthinking is just fear wearing the mask of logic. The second step, name the fear underneath the thought. Instead of asking, "Why am I thinking so much?" ask, "What am I afraid of right now?" That question changes everything, because overthinking often weakens when the hidden fear becomes visible. Maybe you're not overthinking because you're confused. Maybe you're overthinking because you're scared of rejection, or regret, or losing control. And once you can name the fear, you stop being controlled by the loop. The third step, return to the present before returning to the problem, because you cannot think clearly from a dysregulated nervous system. Sometimes the answer is not more thinking. Sometimes the answer is stepping away, breathing deeply, going outside, drinking water, moving your body, sleeping on it, letting your mind settle. Peace does not come from solving every possibility. It comes from teaching your mind that not everything is a threat. Part 8. Powerful closing. Overthinking is not a personality trait. It's often a survival pattern. A mind that learned it had to stay one step ahead just to feel safe. So if your mind never seems to stop, don't just ask, "How do I silence it?" Ask, "What is it trying to protect me from?" Because when you understand the fear, you begin to understand yourself. And when you understand yourself, you stop fighting your mind and start healing it. So if this video made you realize why your brain feels so loud, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not trapped forever. Your mind can be retrained, your patterns can change, and peace is